So what's up, guys? Matt with BAAM Ranch. So my son and I went to go shoot a little bit today. I've got a bum hand, so it was kind of difficult to do, but we got it done. We enjoyed it. And I just brought a few of my guns. I didn't bring any, ARs or anything. But what I did bring were the guns that I truly enjoy shooting. And I guess if I were to classify it as my favorite guns. And I thought it'd give a good opportunity just to kind of break it down and talk about, what are my favorite guns, and ultimately what is my absolute most favorite gun. We've got a lot to pick through. We didn't bring a whole bunch of them today. We just brought a few of them with us. First and foremost, my Glock 19. This pistol right here I have had longer than my son has been alive. I love this thing. It stays with me every single day. I don't leave the house without this. And this particular gun once was even stolen. And they broke into our house, stole the whole freaking gun safe. And about a year later, this gun was found by the police. It stayed tied up in court for a while and was returned to me. So this Glock 19, yes, this particular Glock 19, I even have more care for. My Glock 17, I don't even carry it. It was a waste of money. I don't use it. What about the very first gun I ever had? That's a pretty good candidate for a favorite, right? What this is a 22. It's a Chipmunk, little bitty short thing, little bitty youth rifle. I was given this whenever I was 6 years old, and I've had it ever since. Single shot, absolute fun to shoot. They make a cheaper model of this, which I actually have. I should have brought it with me, but I didn't, called the Cricket. It's just a synthetic stock and a matte blued barrel, whereas this one isn't high polished, but it's just a little bit more polished. Another gun I brought with us to shoot a little bit today was this. My granddad's single shot 12 gauge. This one's a NEF, New England Firearms. The H&Rs, the NEFs. These are just robust guns, man. This gun right here rode around with my granddad for the longest time, and he killed many of skunks, shot at many coyotes, and at close range, the 12 gauge is absolutely devastating to a coyote. I've shot many of birds, and I've had a good time owning this thing, and it definitely qualifies to be on my favorites list. The next one, Smith & Wesson Model 28. 357 Magnum. This was also one of my granddad's guns. I replaced the original wood grips with one from Packmeyer. Mainly, the only reason I did that is because my dad actually has this exact same revolver, and he did that, and I liked the way his felt, so I went ahead and ordered me another set. This right here was, I remember this sitting beside my granddad's chair that he sat at his house. I remember it being beside his bed. This is just a gun that he kept, and this was his main gun on up until probably the late 90s, whenever he upgraded to it was one of the Smith & Wesson autos. I think it was a 5906. I'm not 100% sure on that. And he upgraded to the 9mm, and this just never saw much use. Absolutely amazing condition. You can see it just doesn't have any wear on it whatsoever, not even holster wear. This gun lived its life laying on a bedside shelf, and it just didn't do much other than that. In the very short amount of time that I've had it, which was, I don't know, a little less than 3 years, I've shot this pistol more than he shot it the entire time he owned it. But anyway, that kind of explains, why these guns qualify as some of my favorites. But if I had to get down to one, if I had to just pick one favorite, what would that be? favorite doesn't necessarily mean the most necessary. One could argue that the Glock 19 would be my favorite gun. However, there's not a whole lot of sentimental value with this particular pistol. I've had it for a while, and I'll never live without a Glock 19. The thing is, I just need a Glock 19. I don't need this Glock 19. This could be replaced. I could replace this and I'd be just happy with a different Glock 19. So while it's one of my favorites, we're gonna have to eliminate that one from the list as my top favorite. Oh man, this is kind of hard to make up my mind on. The next one I'd eliminate is probably the old shotgun, right? This is absolutely one of my favorite guns. If you look at Dave Canterbury, some of the stuff that he did with the H&Rs and the NEFs, this right here is one of the ultimate homestead and long-term sustainability shotguns. This gun right here, this shotgun, you could feed your family for the rest of your life with this one gun. They're simple, single shot, easy to operate. They kick like a freaking mule, but that's okay. We don't mind about that. 12 gauge is available everywhere. This did belong to my granddad, but it wasn't, it's not an old gun, right? It's not an antique. It's not, you know, it just doesn't have much of a story behind it other than to say that he owned it and then talk about the, you know, how handy a single shot 12 gauge can be. So I would probably eliminate this one first. This one could be replaced, although I would never get rid of it. I'll keep this thing till the day I die. It could be replaced. Oh, down to the last two. You know, I guess the practical side of me has to go with what is useful. And that would probably eliminate the very first firearm I ever had. That's a hard decision to make. Man, I've shot this thing a bunch. Not like tens of thousands of rounds, but just the nature of it being a single shot gives you just hours and hours and hours of enjoyment. And they actually shoot pretty damn good. I mentioned earlier, I've got the cheaper version of this, and it's like half price, which is the Cricket. And I shoot that one more than I do this one. I worry a little bit more about this one. It's got some sentimental value, so I want to keep the rust off of it and want to keep the stock from getting too dinged up. So if I'm just jacking around with something I want a really small, short, lightweight 22 single shot, I'll use that Cricket model instead. But these things have a pretty good use case scenario. I mean, this is, you could shove this in a backpack and it weighs nothing. I've seen modifications where people have taken and replaced the stock with pieces of PVC pipe and made them foldable and super compact. This gun right here, although not perfect, would also feed your family for the rest of your life. You could get by with just, you know, a little single shot bolt action 22. This was my first gun, man. This is what caused the terrible firearms acquisition sickness that I have. And this is what started it all. But it's not very convenient to shoot. I can shoot it and I enjoy shooting it, but you know, if I'm gonna go shoot a 22, this isn't the one that I grab. So although I would never replace it, this would have to fall in as the number 2 spot on my favorite firearm. That only leaves one left, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of knew whenever I started this video what it would be. And that's the old Smith & Wesson Model 28 357 Magnum. If I could change anything about this, they made a longer barreled version of it. That'd be kind of cool to have. If I ever see one and I've got the cash on me, I'll pick one up. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that the Smith & Wesson Model 28, the Highway Patrol, was one of the best revolvers in .357 Magnum that Smith & Wesson made. It doesn't compare to the Model 27, which was a really nice, high polished, had checkered top straps, beautiful, beautiful fit and finish. The Model 28 was that same gun that didn't go through the super, bells and whistles, high polish finish that the 27 did. These were intended as a working man's gun. These were considered what the police would carry. And they didn't need to spend all that extra expense on just such a beautiful firearm. It's got more capacity than most of your 357s that you see out there. And it's heavy, man. This is right whenever the 357 was a brand new cartridge. And it's heavy. So it isn't worth a damn to carry around with you. Although I have carried this. I've got a holster, and there have been a few times whenever I felt a little wild and wanted to be a little bit different, and I did carry it around. These were the days of the sharp, clean edges. You could almost knock skin off the back of your hand with some of the edges that are on these. And that was put there because it was nice. And people appreciated something that looked beautiful a lot more than they did the functional things with the firearms that we have nowadays, with the nice rounded edges and things of that nature. That doesn't matter. This right here, for more reasons than I could ever list in this particular video, is the favorite firearm that I own. Now, the last one I would ever get rid of, I have to go with practicality, it'd be the Glock 19. And I'd get rid of this particular Glock 19, no problem. I just need to have a Glock 19. It doesn't need to be this gun, it doesn't need to be this Glock 19, but it needs to be a Glock 19. But sentimental value and just something that I get the enjoyment of just getting out and sitting with, and that I enjoy going through and cleaning it and oiling it up and making sure it stays in as perfect condition as possible. Goes hands down, it's going to be this, the Smith & Wesson Model 28 Highway Patrol. Well, anyway, I hope this was interesting to you. I had a good time doing it. While we were shooting this video, we had some issues come up with this. We had a squib load. We'll put that up in another video. We're not going to go over it in this one, but I did catch that on camera. We'll make a video out of that because that's a situation that a lot of people haven't encountered. But if you shoot any kind of rifle, pistol, doesn't matter. If you shoot a firearm, you need to know what a squib load feels like. And you need to know when to say, whoa, this isn't safe to shoot again until we inspect it. So anyway, go ahead and subscribe so you can catch that next video. Hit the little bell icon, do all of the YouTube stuff. YouTube hates this whole self-independence and self-reliance and gun content, as does all big tech. So do me a favor and give big tech a swift kick in the balls and hit the like button. Leave me a comment, subscribe, do all of the YouTube stuff. And until next time, you guys be safe.